There are so many aspects of the Warhammer hobby that I enjoy, but one that stands head and shoulders above the rest is expanding your army. In this video, I'm going to show you how I decided to expand my Onslaught Swarm box set to the army it is today, and exactly why I chose the models I did. Let's get into the video. So this New Year, New Army project was not something I decided to take on alone. If you've missed the previous videos in this series, I highly suggest you go and check them out to see how we got to this point right here. But in summary, myself and the painting coach Lloyd decided we were going to give each other an army to start off our New Year, New Army. I got the Tyranids, he got the Guard. Really thematic. At this point, I thought it'd be a fantastic place to check in with Lloyd and see how he's getting on. Right, well, look, hey, it's not a competition, but if it was, I'd be winning. So, yeah, you know. I win at Warhammer, I guess. So the point of this entire video series is really to take you along the journey of us expanding and painting up these armies and really making these armies our own. And obviously with that, a big part of it is how we expand the forces. So I'm going to tell you about every decision I have made and exactly why I've made the decision to add that unit. Some of them are for fantastic reasons and some of them are for other reasons, which we will get to in the video. Without further ado, let's look at some beautiful models, shall we? So let's start off with the biggest boys, shall we? Let's talk about the Carnifex and the Exocrine. This is the heavy support section of my army. The one thing I have noticed with the Tyranids is their overall strength is quite low as an army average, which means they're going to struggle a little bit getting through highly armored vehicles or anything that has a high amount of toughness, anything that has a lot of armor basically in the battlefield. This is where these guys come in handy. The Exocrine is going to be a little bit lower in strength, but it has a lot more firepower, so it's great at taking out like Terminators or things like that. I've been using it to a lot of success in that regard. The Carnifex is one gigantic cannon with a really strong shot, which is a lot of fun when it goes off, but it's a bit of a whiff when it doesn't. Moving on to the next one, the Pyrovore and the Biovore. Now these are ones I actually picked up in Spain. They were really hard to get hold of, and these guys are fantastic. One of them, the Pyrovore, is a flamer, and I used him basically to screen out my backfield. So if anyone tries to teleport in, I can then essentially flame them up, and it kind of just gives me a little bit of board control, which is a big part of the game, which I'm finding out. And the Biovore allows me to score secondary. So in the game of Warhammer, you've got the primary goal, which is usually take and hold an objective, and that's how you can get a lot of points in the game and essentially win. Secondaries are things that you can either draw out randomly, which I love, or pick specific ones. These guys, the Tyranids, from what I've discovered, are really good at scoring secondaries. And this guy basically does that by shooting out these little spores, and I can place them anywhere on the table, and it allows me to collect certain secondary missions. So they're kind of more like tools. These, well, I mean, they're all like tools at the end of the day, but these guys specifically, fantastic models for playing the game. And they also look cool. I just think they look like big armored spiders with massive cannons on their back. So, I mean, win-win. Next, we've got the Zoanthropes. Now, Zoanthropes are actually some of the models that everybody suggested I get in the comments of the first video. So massive thank you for that. As I said earlier, the Tyranids struggle with their lower strength value. These guys actually pack a bit of a punch and are just quite hard to get rid of as well. They're a little bit more durable than people give them credit for. I haven't played with them a great deal yet. Once I expand my list choices out, I'm definitely going to pull those guys in, but they've been a fantastic addition in the games I have used them in. Next, we're moving on to my favorite boys, the Lictors and the Lictors. So these guys are essentially, and actually we'll talk about Death Leaper as well, because they're all the Lictor type model. Now, Lictors are, in my opinion, some of the coolest just concepts of a character. Imagine Predator, but it looks like an alien. These guys are sent in to sabotage enemy headquarters. They're sent in to break off the head of command, and that's what they actually do in the game, which is really cool. They have an ability where if you charge into a unit, usually the models that are surrounding the captain or the general or whatever it is, they become essentially a bodyguard, and you have to get through them before you can kill the leader. Now, the leader is going to generally buff up the troops that he's around, so he's going to make them a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, a little bit more durable. But these guys have an ability called Precision, which allows them to be a scalpel essentially and pull out that champion or that character, therefore dropping the overall effectiveness of the unit he was in. And it's so cool, it's so thematic, and some really cool stories about how Lictors operate in the lore as well, which I absolutely love. Newer Lictors are a little bit more of a specialist tool, which I'm still learning how to use. They can essentially debuff certain characters and buff up my characters again, which is just a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool interactions in this army that I'm really enjoying. Next, we got the Von Ryan's Leapers. They are, again, smaller versions of Lictors. They kind of do the same thing, not quite as well. Again, an amazing piece to really move around the board quite a lot because they are really, really fast. We've got the Carnifex broods. So these are models that I remember when I was a kid, my cousin Adam got a Carnifex model, and at the time it was massive. I've always had such an attachment to that model. I always thought it looked so cool. So I picked up a Carnifex brood, making one of them Old One Eye. He's basically a character Carnifex, so he's a little bit stronger than the standard one. Whenever I put them on their bases, I thought they were a little bit lackluster. I thought they looked a bit small and diminutive, when in my head they were so big and so grand. But now we've got such massive models. I didn't want them to get lost in the army, so I gave them a little bit of a scenic base, which I'm really, really happy with, and they are colored in the same color that Lloyd's going to paint up his Imperial Guard. And then we've got the Psychophage. I haven't honestly used a huge amount because the points for it were quite high and it was hard to bring it in a list. From when I have used him, he's been fantastic, really, really durable as well. A couple more models that I have in the range, I just haven't painted them up yet. Thank you to Games Workshop. They actually sent me a Death Leaper, they sent me a Newer Lictor, and then they also sent me another Norn Emissary, which I'm going to build as a Norn Assimilator, so the other version of this. Just want to say massive thank you to them. Guys, honestly, this Tyranids army has been so much fun for me to play as. I've really enjoyed their play style. Now there's multiple different ways of playing Tyranids, which I really, really like. In the next video, I'm going to discuss a little bit more about the play style that I've lent into and talk a little bit more about my games and the experiences I've had. So if you like the sound of that, drop some support in the comments below. Give this video a like. If we can get this video to 500 likes, that would be incredible. Oh, by the way, guys, I have a Patreon, so if you enjoy this content and you want me to keep making more of it, please head over to Patreon and chuck in a couple bucks. I'd really appreciate it. And before we forget, this is the winner of the last competition. Do you want to win £50? Yes, you do. Of course you do. I'm going to give you a £50 voucher if you're a subscriber to the channel, and if you drop a little comment in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you all have a fantastic day. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I'm out. I've got to set the codex down. And I forgot it in the last video, so there's some more for you. The carpet's not really... Oh,